Good morning, Mario, and good morning, Switch fans. I had a nice little R&R 3-day weekend, got some rest, feel rejuvenated, and we're back with big news to discuss because Nintendo Switch, it's blowing up. All right, we got some new release dates and reveals that I think are going to excite you. We've got a Direct coming as soon as Thursday, and then we've got this big rumor that's currently gaining a ton of steam about new systems hitting Nintendo Switch Online and Nintendo finally doubling down on all the games that made them great. So what's going on, everybody? I hope you're all doing great and had a fantastic weekend. Let me know how you're doing in the comments. Smash that like button. And if you're new here, welcome to Good Morning Mario. I'm your host, Zach, and I will carry you, escort you, be your friend through everything Nintendo brings our way this fall and beyond. Let's kick it off with a few little release date announcements. All right, first off, Toem, which is basically like Animal Crossing meets Pokemon Snap meets this really gorgeous, simplistic black and white art style. It was one of the cool games shown off at the last Indie World, previously just coming to Steam, now also coming to Switch on September 17th. I love when that happens. I have a very impatient way of going about things when it comes to game releases, so I'm glad that this one is ready to go. I just get excited. I see them, and then I want to play them. I don't like waiting years and years. Okay, enough of that. Toem looks like it's going to be a super good time. There's a demo on PC that people really enjoyed, and hopefully I get my hands on this and can give you guys some early impressions because it does seem to unify really interesting mechanics and bridge together some really good vibes, and hopefully with enough puzzle solving elements can still stand tall as a game for gamers as well as more of the casual players that I think it's trying to allure. So I'm really excited for Toem, and then I'm also really excited because the next day on September 18th, PUMA is putting out their AC collab. Yeah, Puma's doing more with Animal Crossing than Nintendo right now, but it looks glorious, and they just unveiled that there's actually 3 shoes, there's some sandals, and there's a whole bunch of sick shirts and gear. I am going to be stocking up because I love this color scheme. It's really playing into the minty greens and the blues and the aquamarines of ACNH, and I love it. There's not enough good Nintendo clothing. Like, Nintendo does some decent stuff, but I love when other companies, especially like athletic wear, since that's more my style, decide to take on a Nintendo franchise and deliver something a little more unique than just a logo slapped in the center of the shirt. I really like, we got character villagers on the sleeves, the long sleeve. The shoes actually pretty darn well done and look like a cool shoe while also having some Animal Crossing insignia. I know I'm gonna be getting in on both of those. Toem is $20 and actually has a 10% launch discount if you want to grab it early, and then AC, those shoes, I'm assuming they'll sell out because it's Animal Crossing, and in today's day and age, everything is scalped, everything is limited, and everything ends up on eBay. But let me know in the comments down below if you plan to check out Toem and if you plan to check out the Animal Crossing PUMA collaboration. Oh, September seems like a great month. It's the time when Nintendo usually finalizes their fall plans and then dictates what they're gonna do in the first half of the subsequent year. And so we would like to know what's happening with Splatoon 3, any surprises, the rest of the year. You know the drill. And according to some leakers, it seems like this Direct is happening ASAP. Now, it's a little bit hard to tell if this is just more like, ooh, we think it's coming, or if they really know something, because Nintendo has utilized the early part of September pretty much every year as of late to drop a big Direct. Now, they didn't last year because COVID kind of threw off their main Direct plans, but they did have the Super Mario 30th anniversary presentation the first week of September, so it makes sense that they just really love to use this week. Now, a leaker that we've talked about a number of times on the channel named Zippo says that he knows the Direct is happening this week. But then he says if it somehow doesn't happen this week, it'll be next week. And I'm not sure if Zippo really knows or if he's just hedging his bets. I think there absolutely will be a Direct either this week or next week, although it's looking a little more like next week is the more plausible option. Somewhere around September 8th makes a lot of sense. In fact, recently we talked about some things that kind of line up with September 8th. If you recall, that's supposedly when Mario Kart Tour is going to turn over to 3.0, and there was some interesting connectivity mentioned between Tour and 8 Deluxe. Animal Crossing is due for another update, and that kind of feeds into when their list of events begins to wrap up. So next week seems like the week, but hey, it could happen out of nowhere and drop on Thursday. Usually they give 1 to 2 days notice, but patterns are just kind of meant to be broken. We can use them as a guideline, but it doesn't mean that Nintendo has to stick to them. And especially after last year was kind of like a reset period where they didn't have specific main directs due to COVID, it seems like maybe they'll just kind of shift things around. But based on their investors, based on release dates, September is still kind of like a guarantee for a bunch of good news. And I do think we'll be talking about it very soon. All right, let's talk about the big chunky cartridge in the room, which is Game Boy games coming to Switch. Now let me give you the details first, and then I'll describe what's going on and what I think is bound to happen. A rumor popped up that, hey, Nintendo is prepping to add Game Boy and Game Boy Color games to Nintendo Switch Online, and they're prepping to do it really soon. In fact, it makes a lot of sense because it would coincide with the aforementioned Direct, and September is when Nintendo Switch Online subscriptions roll over, as the service was introduced in September back in 2018. Plus, people have been talking about Game Boy games being added next, as it just seems like the logical progression after NES and SNES. But nonetheless, there was a data mine back in 2019 that there were 4 emulators found within Switch code, and that would have been NES, SNES, and then 2 mysteries. Well, on the recent Nate the Hate and MVG podcast, who are 2 people that kind of are sources / leakers, we've discussed things that they've said before, and they usually have a pretty good pulse on what's going on in the gaming industry. They were talking about all of this happening. Now, they didn't give any specifics, but since we've seen other websites like Nintendo Life say, hey, their sources also tell them that this is happening and happening soon. And frankly, I've seen it rumored for many months as something that could have happened at E3 or something that could happen at this fall Direct. And it does fall in line with how Nintendo has been teasing a lot in terms of like, ooh, you can play all the Metroid games, but you can't play Fusion. You can play all the Zelda games, but you can't play Minish Cap. The Switch is home to a lot of awesome stuff for all Nintendo's big franchises, but there is a gap in terms of those handheld platforms. But what's interesting here is that the rumors are specifically saying it would be Game Boy and Game Boy Color, not Game Boy Advance. And I gotta tell you, I have fond memories of my Game Boy Color. I had the teal one. I would play Pokemon Red till the sun came up, till my eyes were red. But if there's no GBA, I find this far less exciting. And I'm telling you, Nintendo, they've got all the ammo. They should be going guns blazing, shooting pellets of love at their adoring fan base. The ones who have patiently waited for Animal Crossing updates, the ones who have patiently waited for Nintendo Switch Online updates, and the ones who have patiently waited for them to play all coy with their catalog. They give you 2 or 3 games every couple months, and it's just silly. They have this humongous catalog of all these classic games, so much nostalgia, so much fan love, and they don't just fling them at us. People have said they'd be willing to pay for a Netflix-style subscription, but if Nintendo goes out and says, oh, guess what? We're giving you Game Boy for free on Nintendo Switch Online to add value, it just doesn't feel like enough to me. There are some good Game Boy titles, obviously the Mario games, there are Pokemon titles, and a lot of people have speculated would they throw like a Pokemon Red or Blue or Yellow onto the service as a tribute to the Pokemon 25th anniversary and to just sort of get people excited for the coming onslaught of Pokemon Switch games. Or would they hold those back because they want to sell them to you as remake later on down the road? I don't know. There's some nice Zelda stuff. Oracle of Ages and Seasons are games that a lot of players want to see remade, but would still be fun to have in their original iterations. I just don't think after the first weekend that Game Boy and Game Boy Color stuff is going to really move the needle that much for Switch fans, okay? And you can let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you are like, oh my gosh, I'd be so gung-ho for Game Boy. There's so many games I want to play from that era. Or if you feel like, hey, maybe this system hasn't really aged all that well. Maybe the graphics and the stylings are sort of just so outdated to play on Switch. Beyond just a few nostalgic memory refreshers, like GBA has games that I think still hold up super well. And when they put the Game Boy Advance Virtual Console on the Wii U, that was very well received. And it was super fun to dive back into series like Advance Wars, Golden Sun, and things like that on the handheld gamepad. And you could do something so similar with the Switch and its portable play, and the emphasis with the OLED coming, those Game Boy games and their bright, beautiful colors would shine pixel perfection. But they are taking Advance Wars and making it into a new Switch game, and maybe they want to do the same with other Game Boy Advance games, and maybe Nintendo is just really stingy when it comes to how they slowly drip feed these things out. It almost feels like it's company motto at this point that they will not put too much on your plate. They want you to just eat it, sprinkle by sprinkle. Eat that entire cake, one morsel at a time. But if they come out and they're like, oh, 2 Game Boy games, and then in December they're like, hey, we got 3 Game Boy Color games, like that just doesn't do a lot for me. I'm excited to see the service expanding, and I just am fingers crossed that all of these rumors and all of these reports really end up delivering all 3, because we've seen Game Boy Advance rumors as well. And the current one is saying, just GB and GBC. I really hope that they go the distance. It has been 5 years nearly of Nintendo Switch, and I don't think that we need to wait another 5 just to add N64 and Game Boy Advance. Like, what are you waiting for? Your system has almost 100 million units sold, and you have so many players that would gladly subscribe or pay extra or buy piecemeal all of these awesome games, and you just won't put them on there. Like, what are you playing at? What are you waiting for? I really, really think it'll be a huge missed opportunity if it's just Game Boy and Game Boy Color. Maybe they can win me over with an incredible lineup. Maybe they'll drop 50 games at launch and it'll be really interesting to go back. I just think there's no need to slow down right now. This isn't the first year of Switch. They're not wondering if they need to save something for later. 2022 is jam-packed with Switch glory. Breath of the Wild 2, Splatoon 3, Pokemon Legends Arceus, and probably much more. With Metroid Prime 4 and Bayonetta 3 in the horizons, and something new, Mario Odyssey related. I'm sure Mario Kart one day will come. Like, we don't need to piecemeal it out and slowly drip feed. You've reached your success. You've got the fans. Now just give us the goods. I don't know. I'm excited by anything new Nintendo, especially in the online space or in the interface space right now. So I'll still be pleased to see them making progress. But let me know in the comments down below if you agree with my take. Like, hey, really, there's no reason not to give us Game Boy Advance. And really, they should. They didn't make a big update to the Switch Online service last year, so it's been 2 years. Count Game Boys last year and Game Boy Advances this year. Get it going. I'm really curious to see if you guys agree with me or disagree in the comments down below. Let me know either way. I'm excited to hear your take. And as always, I'm excited to hear your takes in the poll. And it's like I kind of know I'm tapped in like some sort of genie, Mr. Miyagi of the mind. Hey, Nintendo fans, did you ever own a GBA? And lo and behold, today we're talking all about GBA. And I said this before the rumors popped up, all right? So pretty freaking wild. You could say you had a GBA, had a GBA SP, which was the clamshell top folder, or never owned a GBA. And surprisingly, 33% never owned a GBA. I wonder if that's because you were younger, or you just skipped out, or you weren't really interested in Game Boy Advance. I have to imagine a lot of it is just age. 42%, myself included, owned a GBA. 25% picked up that SP. I did as well. I didn't really know which to pick. I had both of them. I think I actually preferred the original GBA, like the wide GBA. I had the indigo color, ended up matching my GameCube, so I felt really coordinated, like I was really doing a good job. I know a lot of people preferred the SP because it was better backlit and close and protect the screen, but I don't know, something about just like that slab of gaming goodness. I remember getting it on launch day. I popped into Toys R Us. They had plenty of systems. Wasn't a lot of worry back then. No scalping, no bots, no internet pre-orders. You just walked in, and I got Mario Advance, which was Mario Bros. 2, which at the time I had never beat, so it was a fun adventure, although I completed it in like 2 or 3 hours. And then I went to Funko Land, which eventually became GameStop, and I traded in my Game Boy Color for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 on GBA. Good times, and such a great system. And I think bringing that catalog to Switch would only elevate the system, and that to me would make fans really excited. I don't know that OG green and black Game Boy really does the same. So I hope Nintendo makes the right move, but I'll make more moves with all y'all later this week. I'll see you back on G-Man. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for supporting. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. And until tomorrow, my friends, SwitchForce out.